All right. 5th episode, boys. And this is a very special episode tonight. Does anybody have an idea why?
First television movie?
There's that.
Okay.
And it's the first time we've all been on together.
Oh, we got a full house.
Yeah.
The whole body. We got the backbone, we got the brain, we got the other parts that I can't remember.
The Capitan.
Yes. Capitan.
And the thoughtful.
There we go.
Whatever that means. I asked Alex if he wanted to be the mustard man. He said...
No.
He said no, he didn't want to be the mustard man. But you're the mustard man in my heart.
What began as an innocent conversation among friends would soon spiral out of control and later be referred to by future generations as the 8th wonder of the modern world. Mac East, Second Floor Studios, takes you on the journey of your lifetime as your captains, Alex the Thoughtful, Jamie the Brain, Kyle El Capitan, and Zach the Backbone present Submersion. It was actually funny today. I came back from the store and I shut my fridge door after doing something, and I heard something fall down. Something slid out of like the little side panel, and I looked and it was a single jar of mustard.
Oh,
Wow.
no.
It was like
Bait?
foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
Did it break?
No, it didn't.
Ooh.
Mustard is strong.
All right. Well, great.
Yeah, I don't really know where I'm going
Good
with
story.
this. Yeah,
So what do we
good.
got here, guys?
All right. Tonight we have the HBO movie.
HBO/BBC movie.
That is true. Hostile Waters.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
What do you guys think about it?
I
We're
watched
jumping
it.
ahead.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, sorry. We're really
We're
jumping
jumping
far
a little
ahead.
bit ahead, but
Right.
I mean, it is. I mean, the way I had seen it was that it was a Martin Sheen vehicle, but his picture's on like the front cover of the movie. But was surprised to find he is barely in this thing.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
I don't even know why he was in it. Like, what was in it? Why would they have him take a role where he has like
did
two different
nothing.
lines? Yeah, I don't know.
I literally think he filmed his part in a week.
Probably.
It was that quick. He was hardly in it.
Or you think it could have even just been an afternoon?
Yeah, probably.
It
while
could
they-
have even been. Yeah.
They
They
caught
needed
him
a
on a
face.
tour. They caught him on a tour of a submarine, and we're like, "Wait, hold up stay here for 1 second."
They went to
We're
a
getting a
gas
costume.
station and bought that like Navy hat
Yeah.
that he wore, and then threw him on the movie.
It's like when he comes back from shaving. That's literally him coming back from shaving. Like, wait, what's up?
Oh my word!
Oh, shit.
So this movie is. We'll just start with the beginning quotes of this movie.
Oh yeah, they similar to the last one Zach was on. This time he watched it though,
Yes.
where
I
it
did.
opens up with some information. for
Yep.
us
So
to-
it kind of sets the mood for what's going on. October 11th, 1986. Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev scheduled a peace summit in Reykjavik, Iceland. Among the issues to be addressed was the increasingly dangerous game of cat and mouse, played by Soviet and American nuclear subs in the North Atlantic. A few days before the summit, an accident occurred off the east coast of the United States, which jeopardized plans for this historic meeting and threatened the lives of millions of Americans.
Oh.
The following drama is a reconstruction of those events. It is based on the accounts of men involved in interviews with high-ranking officials in both the Soviet and American naval forces. To this day, the U.S. government denies the accident occurred.
Similar plot.
Similar plot to
every-
to Crimson Tide, to all the
U.S.
films we
against
watch.
Russia.
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing new here.
Yeah, this was the first movie, I could say off the bat, first movie without a mutiny or an attempted mutiny.
Which I was
Yep.
disappointed in.
Yeah, which is too bad. I mean, I think part of it was because it was really very straightforward. Like they didn't kind of go those typical routes with a submarine. It really was just a retelling of some events or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, first no mutiny, no crush depth. Like, come on.
But this is the first movie we actually got to see something go into crush depth.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Well,
there was-
no. We saw. Were you talking about at the
Crushed
end?
up at the
or-
end. At the end.
Well, yeah, but nobody said it.
Phantom straight up went down crush depth. I mean, they were crushed to death.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's true. We don't know. It was
Nobody
all
really
mystery
knows
at the end.
Phantom.
Yeah.
But there's no mention of fish either.
And
Yeah,
no fish.
no
So
fish,
the
no
three
fish.
things that have been pretty consistent, totally not in hostile waters.
disappointing.
It's already starting in a bad
Now,
spot.
guys, slow down. There is a parakeet.
That's true.
Yes, I thought of you when as soon as they pulled that thing up. I'm like, does every submarine have a parakeet on it? Maybe.
Yeah, what was funny also is I was watching. Speaking of fish, like fish, torpedoes being fish, I was watching Stealth over the weekend. The movie where it's like a stealth fighter that is controlled by a robot stealth fighter.
Is this one of the bad movies you
I was just watching. I own it.
Oh, okay.
And at one point they shoot missiles trying to destroy this robot, and they say birds in the sky. So they were saying birds for their missiles, fish for torpedoes. I was like, wow.
What do you call land ones?
The land ones? I don't know. What would you call a missile from land?
A fox.
There we go.
A fox.
Well, no, they sometimes call them like eagles, don't they? Oh, I guess it's the same as a bird in the air, then, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Eagle? Yeah, it's a bird.
Common misconception, but it actually is.
Yeah.
Well, before we get going too far, I do want to say that I was reading up on the real accident that happened here in the Soviet submarine K-219. Although the movie doesn't show it, there was an actual mutiny where one of the officers actually had to kick the real captain out of power, and then the other officer had to take control of it. So,
Are you serious?
Yeah,
And they
so-
skipped that?
They skipped it.
That is
They skipped it. Yep.
very much a shame.
Yep.
So that had to have been on the Russian submarine. I'm assuming
Yes,
it wasn't
yes.
like the Americans. I mean, I guess it could have been. They could have been pissed that the American
Wouldn't
captain
sink it.
wasn't going to sink it and then had a mutiny or something. But yeah, it's interesting given in light some of the trivia I have prepped for this. It's kind of interesting that's apparently what happened.
Gosh,
All right, shall we get into the recap of this one?
Yeah.
I think so. And
Yeah.
I think our listeners are going to be happy because this recap probably won't take too long.
It's pretty straightforward what happens. So, yeah, as you said, the major talks between the U.S. and Russia coming up in Iceland. And so, things a little bit on edge already. Interesting note as well. This was taking place around like October 8th, 1986. Very, very close to my birthday. I won't reveal what my birthday actually is, but very close to my birthday. So I could have been destroyed in a nuclear explosion right before I was born.
Well, that's true because Jamie is from the East Coast.
Yeah, I would have been destroyed and I would have been melted.
Or you could have been in the fallout and been like
A mutant.
deformed.
I'm
Yeah.
even more of a mutant than I already am.
I could sum up the whole movie in 30 seconds.
Yeah, so K-219, a Soviet sub, is hanging around Bermuda. An American sub, the Aurora, catches wind of it, kind of sees it on it, or hears the screws, as they would say. And so they fall in behind it into the baffles, where it's hard to discern your own noise that you're making from outside noise. But they don't, I mean, you can still be found. The Russians kind of get a sense that they're there, and they turn a crazy Ivan, and they turn all the way around, which essentially is the way that you see something that's behind you.
Right.
And so the U.S. sub, responds to this and moves out of the way. So they seem at a moment to be a little confused as to where each other are, whether there's even another sub there. Like they don't really totally know the spacing of where they are. And in the end, they end up colliding. So at the last moment, they kind of realize that there's a sub nearby, the Americans, and they try to get out of the way, but they end up hitting the Soviet submarine and cause a huge amount of damage.
Only to the Soviet sub.
Right, yeah.
U.S. sub's fine.
Yeah. And the Soviets also aren't totally sure they hit a sub or not. They even say at one point, like, maybe it was a dead whale or something like that, right?
Does that happen?
I think that was in this one. I'm trying to remember. There's so many submarine movies we watch now that could have been another submarine movie. And it opens up and fills their missile bay, starts filling their missile bay with water. And it mixes with some of the chemicals there and starts releasing some poisonous gas.
Yep.
So that's like the first emergency that happens in the movie.
Yes. That's reminiscent of Phantom.
Yeah. I think it's probably going to be, we're going to see it a bunch of different times.
Oh, we probably will.
And so they try to take care of all this. They there's too much kind of vapor. They're trying to fix it. And so in the process of trying to fix the problem, they cause some sparks and they light the missile bay on fire. So now there's like a raging inferno in their missile bay, which obviously is a bit of a problem because it's filled with missiles.
Right.
Yeah, and so they rise to the top of the water
Because they need to open the vents.
emergency surface, and that's where we get shots of like Martin Sheen, who's looking, or like, no fucking way. Like, there's a boomer surfaced.
Yeah.
It's like apparently it's like such a rare thing to actually have happen because no one wants to be seen at all if you're one of these top secret.
That and the hatch was open too, so it looked like he was ready to fire.
Yeah, so they were trying to vent.
Hatches.
They were trying to vent all the smoke, so they opened their missile hatches, and they're like freaking the fuck out.
Right, because they know on that sub they have a bunch of nuclear warheads.
Yeah,
they're well within striking distance of the U.S.
Yeah, and they're trying to say, "Oh, don't worry. I mean, it's just a fire. They're trying to put it out. They're trying to put it out." But even they know, like, it doesn't matter if they launch or not. Also, if there's a raging inferno in the missile bay,
it could cause the missiles to launch.
That could not a good thing.
Right.
And we get some glimpses into American headquarters, and they're kind of seeing that all the other submarines and ships that they know of start turning. Soviet ones start turning towards one location, and so they start to get a little nervous and trying to figure out what's happening over in that direction. And you get some glimpse into Russia as well, where they have no communication, direct communication with the submarine. They can send some like faxes basically back and forth.
Right, and they pull in the captain's old XO.
To get a better sense.
To see who he kind of is, how he's going to handle this type of situation.
Right.
And he's like, oh, he's the best guy you want in this situation.
Yeah, and this is, again, another, just take note of that for what comes up later. They keep on talking about how he's amazing. Oh, you'll know he's going to be able to figure this out. If there's someone who's going to keep calm in this situation, this is the guy. So on, so on, so on. So just take note of that.
Okay.
Very complimentary of this Russian submarine captain.
Yes.
Okay. And so
he has really two decisions that he can make because he says with this sub, he's like, one, we can either abandon ship, sink this thing, and let the Americans, rescue/capture us, or we can either dive underwater with our hatches open, try to let water flood in, put the fire out, but only do it enough so that we can resurface. Which sounds pretty suicidal. Yeah,
but, and Martin Sheen agreed in his scene where he was like, again, basically his two lines are like, no fucking way. Maybe that was them recording it, asking him to be in the movie. He's like, no way. This can't be happening. I can't believe this is happening. No, perfect. Wait, what?
Come on, you're already here.
But, so they end up doing it. They communicate to Russia. Russia's like, again, no fucking way. But one guy in the room's like, no, they can do it, just they can't do it for too long. They can only do it for 3 minutes. And they decide, we're going to be safe. We're going to do it for 2 minutes. And so they dive for 2 minutes.
Yeah. Well, the heads of Russia said there is no way we're going to let them get rescued by the Americans.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
Right. So they do this kind of super risky thing. They dive. They come back up. And everyone's super thrilled because they've put out the fire. Like they were so raging inferno, gas was everywhere. The walls were melting. That's how hot it was.
Right.
And so they put it out, and they're like, "We're amazing. This is amazing. Let's get the rescue." Oh, and there's another emergency. Everything starts going, crazy again.
Oh, because the nuclear reactors start having a problem, and there could potentially be a nuclear meltdown.
Yeah. So basically, they're all levels of fucked. So their reactor can't cool anymore. Something got damaged, so they're not getting coolant.
In the fire, they couldn't. They lost control of the cables. They burned up and melted. So they had to go down and manually lower these rods into the nuclear reactor to stop the. Was it pressure or something that was building down there?
Well, the pressure is what trapped the guy. Yeah, the temperature was the problem. Yeah, it was going to be a meltdown.
I think it's called a scram when they insert those rods.
Well, there we go.
Wow.
Look at this guy.
Looking that up right now?
No, I've known that.
Are you a nuclear physicist?
No, I'm not.
Well,
My name's Alex. I am a scientist.
But I am a scientist.
And so they basically are like, okay, this one guy who definitely knows what he's doing, you got to go in there. And the guy's like, fine. And they're like, who else should go in there? And they're like, who's the youngest? And they have this guy, Sergei, who has already played the hero. Like, he was kind of the hero before. He was helping put out fires and stuff like that. He was also kind of a dick. He was, like, throwing shit at the
in the
cook.
very beginning.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, like, he's just kind of, it's supposed to be that him and this other guy are the two youngest people on it.
Yeah, he's friends with Mary from Lord of the Rings.
Right, yeah, Dominic Monaghan.
Yes.
And so they're like, Sergei, you're definitely going in. And, of course, he looks at it like, I'm definitely dying. Like, this sucks. Mm-hmm. And so, but he goes in because it's his duty to Mother Russia. and he heads in there, and that one guy is putting down the rods, and he's like huffing and puffing. He's like,
Yeah, they really showed his face.
yeah,
really
I thought he was gonna.
sweaty.
What I thought was gonna happen, he's gonna have a heart attack because it
That's
looked
what
like
I
he was gonna
thought,
have a
too.
heart attack. But instead, he just uses up all his oxygen. They have very little oxygen. That's why they could only have 2 people go in. And so he used up all his oxygen because he's huffing and puffing, and they have to take him out. But they've basically lowered 3 out of the 4 by the time they get him out of there.
Something that I thought was amazing here is he collapsed
Yeah.
because he had no oxygen left. But then he's able to climb up a ladder. I guess when your life's on the line,
Yeah,
you
I
can
think
do
that's-
amazing
yeah.
things.
Yeah.
But I was like, there's no way.
And so he's like, I have to head back in there, but the pressure's building, so there's a pressure discrepancy between the 2 compartments, and it's gonna hold the door shut. And so they're like, we gotta rescue the pressure. But the guy who's in charge of all the valves is like, we can't deal with that shit right now. Like it's more important that he puts those rods down, and like trying to equalize the pressure is putting more people in danger. So sorry, like not sorry. Like you have to go back in. You're probably gonna die. That's it. And so he goes back in. He lowers the rods. He's a hero. They try to get him out, and they can't. And they just can't.
No.
It's not possible.
And then at this point, the movie felt like it was over. It could have been
Yeah.
over right there.
Yeah.
Because the rods are down, whatever, and sub's safe, and all the other Soviet boats come in and they rescue them. But then the movie just keeps going.
Yeah, it keeps on, and they're like, hooray. Oh, it's too bad that guy died, but hooray. And by the way, just to note, was there another death? I'm trying to remember. Was this
Not in the movie.
This was the only one they showed, right?
in the movie.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, in the
Something that
movie.
was
I
curious,
believe so. Yeah.
Because on the internet they said that they only showed 2 people die in this film, and I was like, what? Only 1 person died in this film, I believe. But
I don't recall another
I don't
person.
know. In reality, 6 people died in the actual incident.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so, anyways, they're again happy but sad that this guy died. They call in the ships have arrived. The Russian ships have arrived. They call them closer because with the reactor going haywire, they couldn't have them come too close to the submarine, and so they get them closer. He goes down. He gets a picture of his wife. He's the last one on board. Captain's the last one off. They all get off. They get on this ship, and then they're flown home, and we get a glimpse of them at the end, kind of getting medals, and one of the guys is.
Well, they keep calling out the guy's name who died.
Yeah, and they're like, still on active duty.
Oh, yeah.
And then we get some other things. There was some real weird stuff with the American perspective. Like
There was no reason for it even at the end.
I don't
It didn't add anything.
I'm not sure what they were trying to say. It was almost like the reverse of Crimson Tide, where it's like we should have definitely sunk those motherfuckers. And it's
Yeah.
like, wait, really? And it's a bunch of characters come along being like, if we did this right, we would have sunk them. Like instinct says we should have sunk them. And at the end, even one of the characters comes to another character and is like, you seem down, everyone else seems happy. And she's like, well, it's not something to be happy about. And he kind of is like, yeah, because we should have sunk them or whatever. And she's like, no, because there's a million like nuclear reactors floating around in the ocean right now. Like, that's a concern. I'm concerned about that.
Right.
And he's like, oh, okay. I thought you were also concerned that we should have just sunk them. I was like, no. But yeah, no, like a bunch of the Americans are yelling at each other. Like, we need to sink these. We got to sink these guys. We got to kill these people.
Right, even after they're already off the ship.
Yeah.
It's
Like all these politicians, you're in charge, but really it needs like a military man to have the guts
Right.
to sink them. And then, at the end, even when, it's good that they didn't sink these innocent people, they kind of turned to them and like, that could have turned out much worse. We should have sunk them. Like they really were harping on.
Yeah. Like it didn't turn out bad. It could have, but man, if we could do it all over again, I would have just blown those guys out of the water.
Yeah. Maybe that's why the U.S. Navy wasn't so keen on the film. It was most of the information came from the Russian side of stuff, from what
Did
I
it?
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why, like Martin Sheen's only in it for maybe less than a minute. Total.
Yeah. They have 1 page of notes from one U.S. Navy guy.
It's just- yeah, we were there.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw it. Like, okay.
You know what?
So Martin Sheen sees it.
I was just thinking, guys, I think there was a second death. And I know this is like 5 minutes later now, but it was
No,
that
it's
guy
good,
who.
yeah.
It was this guy that was getting his eye checked out from the beginning, the one that was originally trying to fix the leak at the beginning.
Oh,
And then he was going to see his doctor, and his eye was all messed up. They just said that he
Oh.
died, but I don't think they showed it in the movie.
What, that he died in like the fires, fighting the fires?
Right, I think so.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, he died when they pulled him out and he died. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're
Okay.
right.
All right.
Although I might be confusing that with Crimson Tide, where they were also fighting a fire. Someone was pulled out of it and died immediately
Well,
afterwards.
that's because he was obese.
That was, yeah. It wasn't because of the fire. It was because he was obese. Okay.
Yes.
Now get out of here. Oh, and I didn't mention all the times that Martin Sheen just pulled out his beautiful dick.
Yeah,
Ah,
that's true.
I missed out. Missed my chance.
there's
It's real.
still-
It's like the night. Really,
Still
the
a lot of
nicest
podcasts
dick.
left.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He's never nominated for an Oscar. Never won an Oscar, but he's got his award right there. And he pulls it out and he shows
Wonderful.
it when he's captain.
Good Lord.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the movie in a nutshell, really.
that's it. Yeah, there's not much to it. It is a TV movie, 90 minutes long.
Hmm.
You know, gets in, gets out.
It's more about just them dealing with all the shit that's going wrong on the
Yeah.
Soviet sub, and U.S. wants to sink them. They should have.
Yeah, let's get to the interesting part. What did people think of this? Because I feel like there is some disagreement here.
I liked the
think there
movie.
is.
I actually did like it. It was kind of suspenseful. You know, I was trying to put myself in their shoes. Like, if this really was a true experience and this really did happen, like, it's pretty suspenseful. And I think the movie did an okay job of capturing that. You know, it's one problem after another, which always seems to happen in submarines. But
It's
pretty
true.
it was pretty suspenseful, and I liked it. Yeah.
Okay. Other side?
I don't think so. I was not the biggest fan. I thought it was very slow moving. But I do understand what you're talking about with the fires and all that stuff. It would be very stressful if you were involved in it. But there's certain things I've come to expect out of a sub movie.
And this is where I kind of agree with this. Like, I think there's a lot of praise to be given for being very straightforward with a story and not getting caught up in some extra, like, love story or whatever. But, like,
We haven't
you
had
don't-
that.
I know.
We kind of did in Down Periscope.
That's true. But, like, I think with submarine movies, as we've seen, that doesn't happen very often. The side stories aren't like, they're not like they're no fun love stories or whatever. They're usually
Right.
mutinies and shooting torpedoes at shit. And we kind of missed
That.
in this one. It was very straightforward. Just here are two emergencies. Here's how they dealt with them. And from that point of view, it's interesting, but it was missing a little bit of that extra.
Right. I mean, I do see where you're coming from, Alex, because I can't imagine dealing with all that shit on a submarine. That'd be absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and it had tension. I mean, it's similar in some ways to, you know, what I said about when we watched Phantom. Like, it had the tension that you kind of want out of a film
Yeah.
to enjoy it through it.
We talk about Phantom a lot.
We do talk about Phantom a lot, but
It's
I
awesome.
was actually thinking the other day we need to probably, when this all winds down, we watched all the submarine movies and that's ever been made. We rewatch Phantom and just see all the different places that they've taken from that
Yes.
unoriginal garbage that is
Right.
Phantom.
Oh, one thing that I thought was also kind of interesting in this is the most of the Soviet sub had pretty good Russian accents.
Oh yeah,
Except
Yes.
the captain.
Which-
Captain didn't really use one at all.
which is really interesting
Yeah.
because it's Rutger Hauer, right?
Yeah.
And Rutger Hauer is born in the Netherlands. So it's not like, I mean, he could at least have put on a European accent. Maybe he didn't want to. Maybe it was like, that would be horseshit. But like, would an American audience really have known that there was so much difference between him putting on like a Russian accent that's slightly Dutch? Like, no, I wouldn't have known.
No,
He probably could do a
no.
pretty good Russian accent. Better than I could do. So it was funny because I almost was like, Rutger Hauer, what is he from, like Brooklyn? I'm like, the Netherlands? Oh, he's really not trying.
Alex, can you do a Russian accent?
No, I cannot, comrade.
That was good. Did a Russian just step in here?
But to be honest with you, I really, that was one thing that always stuck out with me with Phantom, is how it really pissed me off. No one had a Russian accent, but this one, like, it didn't, like, aside from the captain, I didn't even think twice about it. You know, they
Right.
actually put the effort into it. I liked it.
They did. A for effort.
And Zach, you have anything to add to this?
I think the movie captured the cold, dark, bleak feeling of life on a sub in the Cold War.
That's actually a good point. That's something that's brought up in the New York Times review for this television program. I should say television program because it was not reviewed by their movie critics, but their TV critic. And I think it was in this one, or maybe it was in the Variety review, but they mentioned how they did a good job in this of showing how like the U.S. sub is kind of real nice and clean, and everyone's like looking pretty spiffy. And then you go to the Russian sub, and everyone's like dirty and gross and has eye infections.
Did anybody else notice how Martin Sheen wasn't in a uniform at all.
No,
He was
wearing
just in like
t-shirt.
a blue sweater
Yeah, yeah.
with like his shirt undone, like underneath.
That might be realistic. We don't know.
It could be.
What can you remember from your time serving in the Navy on the?
Well, when I was involved in this incident,
We would never.
I wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah, but just to kind of give a little background to what we're saying about this, it actually was pretty well reviewed by TV critics. I think maybe because back then TV was very different from movies. I think now if something was made, a submarine film was made, for HBO, it'd be much higher quality than this. But like,
I would think so.
yeah, this is like a TV film. So they talk about HBO film disagrees, goes straight to the action, not bothering to introduce lovable eccentricities of the characters in emotional crisis and things like that, which is kind of what we talked about. Just like not a lot of other stuff besides what's going on. But they kind of praise that. They say like it's other than like not like a Hallmark show or
You
something
really had
like
no
that.
attachment to any of these characters, like
No,
they just said.
it really is
You're
just
like, oh,
it's
he
just
died.
the
I
it's just
mean,
the
yeah.
events.
All right.
It's really the events. But they said the emotion and suspense join hands, and the scenes that follow deliver first-rate dramatic tension. So they're really digging it. And the biggest thing they talk about is, they like the quiet powerfulness of Rutger Hauer, and then Martin Sheen's. This is my favorite one. Nothing much happens on the American sub, so Martin Sheen's role as a captain consists mainly of looking worried, but he does it with thrilling understatement as he witnesses the Soviets' almost unbelievable actions. Like, what? Martin Sheen does none of that.
No.
He's barely in this, and they probably should have just not bothered having
Right.
such
You
a
could
notable
have
actor. in
saved the
that
money
role.
on him and maybe use it a little more on some better effects.
Yeah,
or
I tried to
something.
figure out if he may have been cast as the Russian captain, but then was like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah, I can't do an accent. I'm dealing with my son, Charlie.
Yeah. I'm filming Spawn. Ever heard of it? Major blockbuster.
So, let's see. Let's do our sub ratings here, and then we'll get into some of the fun stuff.
Alrighty.
For this movie, I don't know. I'd have to like a 4.5-inch sub.
It's not bad.
It's not great.
I'd probably give it I'm gonna give it a 5. Go a half inch bigger.
Wow. One upper.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, how about you?
I actually really liked it, but I also liked last week's
12-inch
too.
sub.
I think if we're doing it out of a 12-inch sub, last week I gave the movie we watched last week an 8, but I think this one's better, so I got to give it a little bit better, so I'm going to go 8.4.
Wow.
Yeah, I really did like it. It kept me captivated. I didn't want to look at my phone. I didn't want to read anything else. I just sat there and I was into it. So I really liked it.
That's crazy. Okay. Yeah.
Dude, different folks, different strokes.
Yeah.
I'm
Nice.
going
Good.
with the
Yep.
big old 6-inch sub.
Wow.
6-incher, huh?
Yep. Middle of the road. I'll never watch it again, but I enjoyed it.
No, I'm gonna keep it 5. I'm gonna keep it 5.
I'm going to keep mine where it is. We're all over the place on this one. Usually we're all pretty consistent.
Yeah, this is one that I think for our loyal listeners out there who definitely listen to this podcast, maybe this one's to check out. Form your own opinion.
Right.
Don't
Yeah,
let us.
Absolutely.
Don't let us.
Sway you
paint.
one way
Yeah.
or the other.
All those listeners, make sure you vote for who you agree with the most. Hashtag backbone.
Yeah. Hashtag brain. Hashtag mustard man.
Hashtag not mustard man.
That could be your new intro.
I mean,
name. And Alex, not the mustard man.
Not the mustard man.
I gotta say, I would have given it probably 6 or 7 inches if Martin Sheen took out his dick a little bit more. Just that one time,
Right.
it just really was a disappointment this time.
Something I also would, which we haven't even seen.
How did
yet.
how did I even know he was the captain? His dick wasn't out most of the time.
It's true. Could have been anybody.
It could have been anyone.
He
Yeah.
could have just been the sonar guy while the captain was like taking a poop.
Yeah, and it was weird too because one time the sonar guy had his dick out, and I was like, "Is he the captain now?" I'm confused.
Yeah, captain doesn't check out sonar.
Yeah, it's weird.
God, I do wish that we would see in one of these Cold War movies, just on their sub to have a set of Russian nesting dolls.
Just as like just to make sure you
Just-
understood.
Just like in the background somewhere, like in the captain's quarters where there's some scene. You're like, wait, why does he have those? Like, Oh, duh.
Because he's Russian.
That's all they
he's
play with
Russian.
over there.
No, it's the same. It's the same point that I was just making with the dick out. So I know he's the captain. You want to see some Russian SNL, so you know you're on the Russian submarine.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty good.
Yeah. They should have those hats too. Those furry hats on.
Oh, yes.
What else is Russian?
What were you saying?
Have a live bear on the submarine.
I was gonna say there was one scene though when it was shot in the water and the submarine's going by. You could see the big old red Russian star, so that's how I knew it was Russian. That and at the end, for whatever reason, the captain was wearing that pilot's jacket, but I guess sub captains can wear that too. But that had a lot of fur on it, so that's kind of Russian-y.
I think Rutger Hauer just had a place to be after the filming. He's already dressed to leave.
Yeah, all right, guys, let's just do this shot real quick.
Can you get back into costume?
No, dude, I got a 12:30 tea time. Like, get me out of here.
He just zooms off on a motorcycle. Wait, what?
I rent all my clubs.
All right, so what's the next segment we're going to go into? Should we do... do you want to do a little trivia? You want to do a little sub news? You want to do some Zach bags?
Well, I think we should probably save the best for last. I know Jamie always hates when I do my segment. So
no, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in it.
So, hang on.
We
get it
can
up?
do news.
Yeah.
I guess
You got
I guess some
news?
What's
I
the
got some
news?
Let's do the news.
All right. Well, this one's a little bit different, as it's got more than just submarines involved with it. This actually is news that's going back to one of the airplanes that disappeared back in 2014 from Malaysia.
Oh, wow, the Malaysia one.
Yeah, and this is the one that disappeared someplace off the coast of Australia. We're not exactly 100% sure where it's at. Anyways, several years later, the search has been called off to try to find the remains of this airplane. And I think one reason why is because it's already cost countries $160 million, and all they have found is just 3 little parts that have washed up on beaches. So there is a new company, or I don't know how new they are or not, but a new company's getting involved with it, and they're out of Texas. They're called Ocean Infinity, and they've got a ship that can carry little miniature submarine drones on it. And from what I've gathered, they've got 8 of these drones, and they can go down to 20,000 feet. And that's
So
really
is that the crush depth, 20,000 feet, or are we talking like
Well,
30,000 feet crush depth, but 20,000 operating?
Well, I really have no idea, because I know the smaller the ship gets, it can go further down to the crush depth depending on how it's built, because each different ship has a different crush depth. I'm sure ultimately there's some places out there where it's going to crush no matter what, but from what I understand, these things can go down 20,000 feet. So they've got 8 of them, and they're going to start searching for them here. They're saying sometime here in January and February, depending on how the weather goes. So it's not really manned submarines, but this is something that they can get down there and work with to try to find this plane that's been missing for over 3 years.
How big are these, Alex?
I have no idea why.
I was just wondering how, these like 6 inches long or something that are like 8 of them for the entire ocean.
No. I saw a picture of it. I mean, they look pretty large, maybe like 10, 12 feet, maybe even longer than that. But I mean, we're not talking like huge subs, just little unmanned subs.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. I got a picture
So how many
of one here.
torpedoes?
I can send you guys.
How many torpedoes could it hold? I'm confused.
Well, it might even be the size of a torpedo. I don't know.
Yeah.
They find some. Oh shit! There
That's
it is.
an idea.
We'll blow it up.
They're just torpedoes.
They have real subs with these in the subs, and they launch these out of the sub. Boom.
Yes.
So,
So
like
Sub drones on
just
subs.
blown.
drone torpedoes.
Yep. So
Yeah.
So they're going to be able to search, it says, for 48 hours before they have to come back up and refuel or recharge. I'm not for sure how they run. Doesn't say. And the one thing I did think that was craziest about this is right now, the only way that they're going to get paid is if they actually do find something significant. So right now, this company from Texas is going out there and doing this just to do it. They're not getting paid at all.
But they're going to be searching so hard. That's the kind of search you want, because they're like, look, if we find it, we get paid. If we don't,
Exactly.
we look like a
Yes.
bunch of bums.
Exactly.
Bums because you got our own subs, but
It's like
They're
if you
gonna
can
give
find
some company some money, and they're just going to drop some shit over there.
Yeah,
and say they found it.
That very well could be. So, other than that,
I think hopefully they have some checks on that one. You can't just throw random pieces of a plane in the ocean.
Oh, yeah, here's some stuff from another wreck.
Happened
Just chuck it out
before.
there.
So, other than that, I mean, it's kind of sub news because they got these sub drones now.
I think that's definitely sub news.
Alex, that's the definition of sub news, bro.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I thought that was pretty interesting, especially since they're doing it for free off the bat. I figured that's not going to be cheap at all, but with the countries that are already involved, they've spent $160 million with nothing to it. Maybe having someone do it for free is not a bad idea. So,
Yeah, no kidding.
that's it. That's my news. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Loved it.
Yeah, that was great. I'm actually happy because the president of the United States, don't want to date the podcast too much, but he tweeted out some stuff about a submarine. I thought for sure that was going to be the news, but I wouldn't have been very happy talking about it. I'm happy. This one has made me much happier. Drone submarines? Come on.
That's pretty cool.
Who doesn't love that?
All right, so getting away from the news a little bit, we've got subs worldwide. And so this sub actually that I'm talking about today, Los Angeles class. Oh, that might sound a little familiar.
Yeah,
because
callback.
that's the sub that they were using in the movie. The Americans were with Los Angeles class.
Yeah, and wasn't that also the one in or no, he had thought he was going to get the down periscope or something, right? Los Angeles
That's what he
class?
wanted.
Yeah. But then he was going to get the Seawolf.
Right, and the Seawolf actually comes after the Los Angeles.
But they barely made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So this is another nuclear fast-power attack submarine built by the U.S. of A. What up? In 2017, there are 36 of these still in commission.
Wow.
And 26 have been retired. Now, these haven't been built in a while, so that's pretty good. These are actually the most common operated submarines in the world because there's 36 of them in our fleet. And all the subs are named after U.S. cities with one exception. And this broke a long-standing tradition of naming attack submarines after sea creatures.
Whoa. You're not supposed to?
Well, they used to name them after sea
I see.
creatures. Wouldn't that be cool to be like, oh, here's the USS Hammerhead? That'd been pretty slick.
Ooh.
They're 362 feet long.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I guess, in terms of length, whatever.
Think about that. It's more than a football field, right? So think of a football field. Your submarine's longer than that.
It's pretty crazy. Let's see what else. All right, so speed. When it's surface, it can travel at 20 knots. For you land mammals, it's 23 miles per hour. Submerged, officially it's 20 knots, but unofficially 33 knots or 37 miles per hour.
Wasn't that just in this movie? Them talking about something about like the sub moving and then being like it's moving 20 knots or something like that, and like, oh, why is it going like that? And they're like, well, it would be the maximum if they were surfaced. And they were like, wait, what?
Oh,
Was that this one?
Yeah, because they were going.
No, it was this
slower.
one.
Yeah.
They said it was going 11 miles per hour, and they said it can go 20. And then the one U.S. captain or whatever, he says not if they're surfaced, and they go 11. Which
Another
was like
callback.
half
Look
a
at this. Relevant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
These subs can also carry. This is actually relevant to this movie. Well, actually, it was in the way the Russian sub was portrayed because I hadn't ever noticed anything like this. So it can carry 25 torpedo launch weapons. Tomahawk missiles can be fired from the torpedo tubes, but the last 8 subs they built have 12 dedicated vertical launching platforms or tubes. And you notice that in that Russian nuclear sub, although that's a totally different sub, but they had the missiles vertically.
Yep.
And so that makes sense if you're going to do like sea-to-air type stuff.
Yeah, you'd have to.
Yes. These are powered by light water reactors capable of generating 35,000 horsepower. The ship endurance, though, is only 90 days, and it needs refueling after, well, it says refueling after 30 years. And in today's dollars, they cost $2.16 billion to make.
Jeez.
Which isn't, it's not that far off from the Seawolf, but whatever. It was preceded by the Sturgeon class, and then it was ultimately, I wouldn't say made obsolete because we're still using them, but the Seawolf came after it.
Yeah, and it was too expensive, so they still used the Los Angeles.
Well, and then they went to the Virginia class. So,
sorry,
that's
I just woke up.
Yes,
So
I missed most knowledge on you people.
No, I feel like we learned a lot about different things. Like right off the bat, I'm like, come on, they had the Seawolf, but it was too expensive, so they only made a few of them.
Right.
We're learning stuff.
we are.
Now, Kyle, how come this one can only last 90 days? Because I've seen before, and I think even with the last one you did, it said that it can go as long as they have food on there. So why is this one different? Can they not carry at least 90 days worth of food?
That's what I was wondering too, because it is a nuclear submarine and they're supposed to be able to run indefinitely. This
Right.
one I'm not really sure. I'll have to look it up and get back to you on that in the next episode.
Sounds good.
How do they get air?
They
I've
can
often
go
wondered
up.
that.
They use snorkel mode, where they can
I
put
see.
natural air into the ship.
I can't wait till we see that in the movie.
Yeah, someone's gonna
Come
be like
on,
snorkel mode.
Guys, go to snorkel mode.
We're going snorkel mode.
I think that's just what the regular mast is called, like the snorkel. So whenever they're submerged, they can just pop that thing up a little bit and they're in.
Get some air. There's
Yeah.
got to be some other
Snap
way.
on some air.
They can recycle air or something. But then all the older movies where everybody's smoking all the time, it wouldn't really work.
Alrighty, so should I go to keep the best for last? Go on to trivia.
I
Keep
think
Zach
so.
facts for the last one. All right,
Aw.
got to.
Come on.
It's so
Those
much
are
fun.
those are like our favorites. So
So okay, so I have 5 things. I had to make up a few because there's not much trivia about this.
Not at all.
Not like Zach facts, which are all real for sure. This one I had to make up some. But this was a film debut of Dominic Monaghan, who played Merry in Lord of the Rings. So it really begged the question. So Rutger Hauer plays Captain Britannoff in this.
Mhm.
So, of these different Lord of the Rings actors, do you think any of them would be a better captain? Let's start with Elijah Wood. Now, keep in mind, at the time of filming, he would have been about 15 years old. But also
Yes.
keep in mind, he is a child prodigy.
Ooh.
15-year-old Elijah Wood as Captain Britannoff, a grizzled Russian captain of the submarine.
I'd pay to see it.
You'd want to see it.
I'd want to see it, but I don't think he'd do as well.
Yeah, I probably think he might not have the experiences in life to be able to portray the grizzled Russian captain particularly well. But
Actually, it'd probably give a whole creepy tone to the movie.
yeah, it'd been real weird.
15-year-old in a
sub.
Ugh.
Especially when he greets his somewhat elderly wife at the end.
With
Okay.
this kid.
Yeah. Kids same age. Okay, Orlando Bloom. Heartthrob Orlando Bloom.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. He played second fiddle too many times. You know, he's in Pirates of the Caribbean, but Johnny Depp. He's in Lord of the Rings, but everyone else in the movie, basically. Like, now he's in this with Martin Sheen, international American superstar. Like,
But
come on.
keep in mind, Martin Sheen's on the screen for like a minute.
Yeah, it would have overshadowed Orlando
Probably
Bloom.
would've
That's the problem.
Martin Sheen gets the Oscar.
All right, so and then third up, one of our submarine favorites, Viggo Mortensen.
He could do it.
Yeah, you could do it.
He's got the face.
He does. Would he have the same haircut he had in Crimson Tide? Because he was a lot different than I've ever seen him in anything else in Crimson Tide.
He would have had a man bun. How about that
He
one?
had a man bun.
Mhm. Is that a no?
Yeah, no, that's a no.
All right, so here's the first one that I think actually could be Ian McKellen, Gandalf.
Would he have been too old
As a
No.
grizzled, he probably would have been in reality, but
for the movie?
Acting, Kyle. Come on.
I
Yeah.
know. All right.
Yeah.
CGI,
He's really
CGI
good.
that makeup younger, make him look younger with makeup.
Oh, like how in Jackass they do the old people suits,
Mhm,
but Ian
mhm.
McKellen they put a young person suit on him.
Yeah, that would have been creepy. You're still hesitant. Okay.
You know what? No, I'm gonna change my answer. I don't think he would be a good one.
Okay. Yeah, because I feel like I'm gonna get you one of these times. I got 2 more to go. I feel like one of these,
guy
you're
I'm
gonna,
really
one you're gonna
thinking
go.
here.
Okay. How about could have been Aragorn, Nick Cage?
Nick Cage, yes.
You think that would have been good? Better Russian accent.
Anything's better with Nick.
That's true.
I will stand by that statement that Zach just made until the day I die.
Well, we'll see with the USS Indianapolis.
Right.
Then you might be singing a different tune.
Maybe.
And then last but not least, Ed Harris.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Perfect casting.
Yes.
He
thought
basically
you were gonna
played
have,
it.
like,
Phantom, he would have done it as well.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna have Gimli or something on there.
No.
I thought Gimli would have been great.
Oh, same here. That's what I was thinking.
What's the guy's name who played Gimli?
I can't.
I just saw him. He was in the Name of the King, a Dungeon Siege tale. I was like, oh,
It's John Malkovich.
right. There we go. John Malkovich is not in that movie at all. All right, number 2.
What about Peter Stormare? I think he would have been really good in this.
I don't know who that is.
Yes, you do.
I probably do by sight, but I don't know that name. Peter Stormare?
Is that how you say it?
Like Boromir?
I'll show you.
Okay, number 2. I'm going to go while you're looking that up. There was a concurrent book. So this is based on research done in a book. The book was called Hostile Waters by the same authors who did K-19 Widowmaker, the concurrent book for that one. And it was released in the same week that it premiered on the BBC. They didn't get writing credits, and I was very confused by that. I'm not sure how that was all worked out. But one guy got a writing credit for adapting their research into a screenplay. They made a film off of I made a book off of their research as well. So they each got different credits for the same research, kind of. Number 3 is actually, as we said, oh yeah, that would have been good. Peter,
Yes.
I'm seeing a picture of Peter Stormare now. Or is it Stormer?
I think it's
Stormare or something.
Yes.
Yeah, that would have been good. That would have been perfect casting. He's the
I think
he's
so.
the Russian in Armageddon.
He's in Fargo.
Same year.
He's in everything.
Yeah, he crushed it.
Yeah.
It's actually well reviewed at the time for TV, so we saw that in New York Times. They were pretty happy about it. Chicago Tribune thought it was very good, and then Variety also had a pretty good review with some things. The U.S. was not happy with the film, so the United States Navy category denied that they hit that sub. They did not hit that sub. So I'm wondering if that's why the Martin Sheen character was a little underdeveloped, perhaps because the U.S. Navy was like,
Probably.
we did not hit that sub.
Right.
Is that why it was released by like BBC?
No, I think it's just the research in the end. I think they got just more. They had more input from the Russians, so I think that's probably why it ended up this way. It's like heavy on the Russian because more Russians were willing to talk. Which is funny because my final one is that Captain Britanoff, the actual Captain Britanoff, filed a suit in 2001, claiming that Warner Bros. Did not seek or receive his permission to use his story or character for the movie. He also claimed the movie did not portray the events accurately and made him look incompetent, which is why I wanted you to note they seem very competent. When I had seen this whole thing about one of the captains,
Right.
I thought for sure it was Martin Sheen's actual captain because he was sitting there being like, "We got to sink to sing," and the other guy had to be like, "Whoa, slow your roll. It's on
Yeah, the
fire.
XO was like-
it's literally on fire. Like they just want to put out a fire."
Right.
And he's like, "We got a fire on it." And so I thought for sure it was him. And I looked at like, wait, Captain Britanoff, he's like the hero. And yet he sued and he won. And he won tens of thousands of dollars. It hasn't been actually disclosed how much it was. It probably was something like $50,000 or something. What's funny is then you can find news articles on the Russian newspaper Pravda where they talk about this suit and talk about the American blockbuster film Hostile Waters and how this captain won substantial damages from it. And then they go on to say that many other Russians portrayed in American movies are looking to do the same thing. I was like, okay.
Awesome.
Okay, sure. And then just to finish up, this is pretty easy. 6 Degrees of Ed Harris. Try to get back from this movie back to our beloved Ed Harris.
Yes.
Max von Sydow, who portrayed Admiral Chernovin in Hostile Waters. He also portrayed Ernst Stavro Blofeld, the head of Spectre, in Never Say Never Again with Sean Connery, and we're right back in it. I mean, that Never Say Never Again had a submarine, and Sean Connery is, of course, in the Hunt for the Red October with Sven Thorsen as the COB. Sven is also Hans in Enemy Hands. And from there, we just follow the path that we've been taking. In Enemy Hands has been the key to multiple times.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. That was
Getting
an easy one.
back to Ed Harris.
Yeah, man.
That's child's play.
I'm sure there's a couple different ways you could have done it on this one.
Oh
though,
no,
to
there's
be
a bunch of
honest.
them. Yeah, I'm trying to think of whether I want to write a computer algorithm to find the quickest path through submarine films
Pretty amazing.
to Ed Harris. How fast?
All right, and then on to...
You know what?
Oh, sorry. What are you saying?
What?
What are you saying?
I was going to say one more thing. It was actually about how you said that the captain Igor Britanov, he got sued. I actually thought that's kind of funny that they're pursuing, or that he's claiming that Americans are making him look dumb, because there was one scene in the movie when they were all still talking about what he's going to be doing in that scene. And they brought in the old XO, the second guy before him, remember?
Yeah.
And they were saying, well, what would you do? What would you do? And he's like, well, he's probably going down to put out the fire, or whatever he said he was doing. And they said, but that's not what the Americans might not think. And the second guy that they brought in, they said, yeah, but we actually act off of instinct. And then they just kind of looked at each other and didn't say anything. And they just kept on going. So I thought that was kind of a slight dig at Americans from what they said. Cause
they kept on
captains,
saying, it's like, they're kind of implying, like, unless if they're dumb, they'll do this. But, hopefully they're not dumb. And then, of course, all the American generals in it, like, act all dumb. They're like, we should have sunk it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
that's why I could have sworn
maybe,
I was going to read about how Martin Sheen's character was the one suing. It's like, no, it's the guy who's, like, the hero and, like, made out to be, like, super smart and did all these, like, crazy risky moves. But I guess it's part of it is, I guess, losing track of the American submarine and getting hit. I think that's what he didn't like. Pull a crazy item and then hit the U.S. sub.
But if someone did sue, though, then wouldn't that be admittance that this finally did happen? So maybe there's a gag order on them where they can't sue.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess to prove substantial damages, he must have shown that he actually didn't give them permission and that it was dramatized in some way from what the accounts were or something.
I guess.
So who knows? We'll never know, probably.
I don't know, because I thought he looked like a real hero.
Yeah, I thought so too.
The movie made him look like a real hero.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right.
Okay. Zach Facts.
All right.
Zach Facts.
Zach Facts, are you ready to get your fact on with Zach
Dude.
Facts?
I'm never ready.
Fact
but
me right now.
Let's do it.
All right. I did not do it this week. There you go.
Liar.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay, Zach Facts. Number 1. The opening titles cost over $50 million to develop.
Yeah. Oh, wait. You tricked me.
I believe
With
it,
all
man.
those Tron-like lines.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
where they show all the
Lasted,
different
like,
spots.
20
Okay.
minutes.
I was fast forwarding through that because I was like, my God.
Well, how
what
did
is
you
this,
know
like
what-
1980?
How did you know where everything
They probably
was
made that
in
with
the
a
submarine?
Mac.
Yeah.
I went to the bathroom, came back, and it was still on. I was like, God, these titles.
I really need to get a handle on Zach Facts because I immediately was like, no way.
Right.
No way.
Fact number 2. Martin Sheen's character was not supposed to have a white beard. This was because he developed an extreme cocaine addiction while filming. Fact.
Wow.
Ooh.
And so what, the cocaine made him think he looked really cool with a beard? Or
No,
was
the
the beard
cocaine was in his beard.
The beard was made of cocaine?
Yep, it was he just went straight to filming.
Well, we could tell that.
You could tell he was just wigging out the whole time. Sink it. Sink the ship.
Probably
Martin, it's not
got it
really
from his
happening.
son.
Yeah. He's like sitting there screaming all these commands. He's like slamming all these
We
buttons.
gotta sink him.
Fact number 3. The parakeet is the brother of the parakeet from Crimson Tide.
Wow.
All right.
You guys are going to have to remind me
Okay.
that the parakeet in Crimson Tide was also in like the missile area or something, or where was it? I can't remember the parakeet.
I just know he took it out and he had it on that plane all the way home, and he walked out of the plane at the end of the movie still holding it.
Oh, I see.
He had it all the way till the end.
That's. Are there birds on every sub? I mean, I know there's like canaries and coal mines, but
Mines.
Well, you would
it's like the
parakeets
whole-
on
Yeah,
every sub?
I would think so. Yeah. I think it probably is a safety thing.
are there? All right.
One of these days we'll get a professional on this podcast that'll tell us.
He's like, yeah, I was the bird keeper
we were
on a
supposed to
submarine.
have we were supposed to have the U.S. Navy's bird keeper today, but he got this snowstorm in the eastern United States.
And he got
Screwed up his travel. Yeah,
bird flu.
Yeah, he got stuck in Detroit. He's still sitting there. We tried to have him call in. It didn't work.
Shout out to Detroit listeners.
Yeah.
All right. The original title was going to be Impact in the Deep, but the director felt it was too similar to another movie being released the following year. Fact.
I would have loved it if it was Impact in the Deep.
Yeah.
Alex is losing it.
Okay.
Too close to another movie being released next year. He was releasing it first.
Okay, next fact. We're almost at the end. The fire in the Russian sub was completely unscripted and filmed in one take.
That lines up with my fact about Martin Sheen.
Right, it does.
It's actually the whole movie was improvised. It's just a documentary about what happened on set and the terrible things that occurred.
Oh man!
Can you imagine? That would be. It's like a Tropic Thunder-esque thing.
We're not getting what we need out of Rutger Hauer here. Light the goddamn thing on fire.
Close the hatch. See what it'll do.
All right, and the last Zach fact of the day.
I thought we were over. I was like, oh man, that was the last Zach fact.
This is it. So back when Martin Sheen decided to accept this role, it was either this role or Jack Dawson in Titanic. He thought this movie would land him an Oscar. Fact.
Can you imagine that scene in Titanic where they're in the car and
Right?
it's all foggy? You see Martin Sheen in there.
His face is all red like a tomato.
You'd be like, my God, what am I watching?
He's just there painting her naked.
That would give it a whole different tone to that movie.
Yeah, that'd been weird.
Oh man!
That would have been pretty great.
And there you have it. Fact or fiction? You tell me.
Fact. That's what
I
I said.
like to
Zach
believe
facts.
facts.
Yep. Facts.
You're not a liar, are you?
Zach does not lie. Fact.
Fact. Wait. Wait a second.
My God.
Wait.
Zach, you better be saving these. So there's a list somewhere that people
I've got
can
it,
refer back to.
All our
I do.
faithful listeners.
It's a Google
will be-
Google
yeah,
Doc.
setting up a wiki for our wiki page.
Yes.
We'll have them all listed.
Yep.
I can't wait to be taking questions from listeners.
Right. I still just picturing Martin Sheen in Titanic
He could have been the captain.
floating on the table at the
He
end.
could have been the captain of it. Gone down with the ship.
I thought the Russian guy was going to go down with the ship in this.
That'd been real strange. Just like everyone else is saved, and he's like, "Look it."
He's like, you know what? The captain goes down with the ship.
He'd be like, "Really?"
Like, no, dude, we can save you.
Yeah,
like,
it's
it's
good
fine.
on.
I
Like,
think he was thinking about it.
at the end there.
He's like, "God, I don't want to go back to my wife." Oh no! He's looking at the picture. He's like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
This and that.
Yeah, I thought he was.
screaming,
Yeah,
shitting his pants
he was looking at the
kid.
picture. I thought he was really thinking about going down. Yeah.
I thought he was going to too, because that's a thing. Captain always goes down if there's still people on board, right?
I feel like that's
Right.
more of
It's
like
like
an
that movie with
idealized
George
version. It's like an idealized version of things. I think the U.S. Navy would be like, you know what? It's fine. You don't have to go down with the ship.
Zach, so when we do our boat trip, if the boat sinks, are we gonna force Doug to stay on the boat?
Well, only if one of us are on the boat.
So are we drawing straws or what?
Oh, yeah.
nobody, damn it, guys! Nobody has to stay on the boat. We can all get off.
No, because he'd literally have to like grip the steering wheel. to stay on.
We could just handcuff his body to it.
Sorry, Dad. See you later.
But you know,
Oh,
like remember that
goodness.
movie, The Perfect Storm, with George Clooney? He could
Yeah,
have
he
swam
goes-
away, and he
he
literally
goes
looked
down.
and just went back in the cabin.
I don't think he had much of a chance. It's a big
He
storm.
literally had a chance.
It's like
Remember?
Perfect Storm.
The other guy had the life jacket. He could have went out there with him. And he's like, yeah, you go first. And then the other guy went up and he was like,
But
nope.
didn't
And he went back
didn't
in
no
the
one
cabin.
didn't no one survive though?
They never found a survivor, no, because that's one of those other movies based on a.
Well, he
true
probably was like,
events.
I'd rather just die here rather than in that cold ocean.
Captain logic.
I mean, that was what happened on Titanic. He was like, I'm going down with this goddamn ship. I feel like
Yes.
that's like old school. Nowadays, it'd be like, get off the ship. You're more valuable to us as an asset.
You guys think this movie would have been better if it were... So everything happened the exact same way it did, but at the end, it was a dream sequence, and Mikhail Gorbachev wakes up, and then it starts World War III.
I thought you were going to say in Iceland.
Yeah. I think it would have been better where it like wakes up and it's Boris Yeltsin before he's president. It's like, I got to take this motherfucker down.
Yes.
End of the USSR.
And then it starts
It's
this
all 'cause of
whole
a
like alternative reality trilogy. Would have
Ooh.
been amazing. But I already used the dream thing, I guess, when we're talking about Crimson Tide.
And Phantom.
Did I?
Phantom.
Well, Phantom, it was all a dream, wasn't it, at the end?
Oh, shoot. Why do I keep going back to this?
Hmm.
I just really want it to happen.
I feel like we're going to start getting really confused about these movies at some point because they're all very similar.
Yeah.
So we're going to start mixing
Yeah.
up events all across all these things.
That'll make for a good final trivia episode, won't it?
Yeah, where we ask questions about what happened in each of them.
Which movie did this happen in?
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Which movie did we see a parakeet in?
Oh,
Yeah.
come on. There's too many. Well, that about wraps it up for Hostile Waters.
I think that's right. I don't know if we have an idea for next time.
Not at this moment.
Yeah, so we'll probably do it offline. Figure out
Yes.
the movie.
Okay.
But for recommendations, I'd say we're all over the place. Maybe decide for yourself. If you've listened to our other ones,
You're talking about to our listeners?
yes.
What to like?
If they should watch this.
Oh, whether they should watch it or not.
Yes.
If they want to see what like a submarine TV movie is like, it's not a bad submarine TV movie.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They should watch it.
Be
Boom.
prepared. It's not a blockbuster,
That's true.
but you'll get what
Okay.
you get a submarine if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, if that's all you're looking for.
That's for goddamn sure.
Yeah. And
Not-
in terms of time they spent on the sub, it's pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah, we haven't yet had one
Yeah.
where we're like, oh, not enough on the sub. Like I feel like if we watch Transformers Last Night, which has a submarine section to it, I mean it's like 30 minutes in I think it was 6 or 7 hour long movie, if I remember. At least that's what it felt like. Then you might be disappointed at just how little the submarine action was in that film. Or like Valerian and the 1,000 Planets. I think they have like a submarine planet, but there's like 1,000 planets. So it's
Oh.
only like 1/1000th of the movie or something. Eventually, we're going to be watching things like that. And then,
Give it time.
I mean, that of course is going to be what, like 7 years in the future?
Right.
And I don't want to date it, but that's going to be like 2007 because we're recording this in the year 2000.
Yes.
And we've invented podcasts.
Okay.
the future.
Yep.
Zach Fact. We invented podcast.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to the 5th episode where everybody was finally able to make it.
Wow. It's an achievement.
Yeah.
Yay.
Achievement unlocked.
Thanks for listening to Submersion. Find us on SoundCloud and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.